Brexit, the word that's been on everyone's lips since 2016. It's a decision that's divided a nation, sparked heated debates, and left the world wondering, what does this mean for the UK and the EU? But beyond the headlines and political drama lies a complex story of economics, immigration, and sovereignty. So today, we're diving deep into the Brexit rabbit hole to uncover the upsides, pitfalls, and everything in between. Buckle up, folks. This is Brexit like you've never seen it before. Brexit, short for British exit, refers to the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union. On June 23, 2016, the UK held a referendum on its membership in the EU, with the majority of voters, 51.9%, choosing to leave. But why did they leave? One of the main reasons was sovereignty. Many people in the UK felt that EU membership meant that they were giving up control over their own laws and borders. Additionally, some people believed that EU regulations were stifling business and economic growth in the UK. Another significant factor was financial. The UK was one of the largest contributors to the EU budget, paying around £13 billion per year. Some people argued that this money would be better spent on domestic priorities like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Brexit was also driven by concerns over immigration. The EU allows citizens of its member states to move freely between countries, which means that people from other EU countries can come to the UK to live and work. Some people in the UK felt that this was putting pressure on public services and driving down wages. On the other hand, supporters of EU membership argued that the UK benefited from access to the single market, which allows for free trade between EU member states. They also pointed out that EU membership allowed UK citizens to travel and work freely throughout the EU. So what are the upsides and pitfalls of Brexit? On the positive side, leaving the EU gives the UK more control over its laws, borders, and trade policy. It also means that the UK no longer has to pay into the EU budget, which could free up resources for domestic spending. However, there are also significant downsides. Leaving the EU means that the UK no longer has access to the single market, which could make it harder for UK businesses to trade with the EU. There are also concerns that Brexit could lead to a decline in foreign investment and a loss of jobs, particularly in industries that rely heavily on exports. Brexit has also had political implications. Scotland and Northern Ireland voted to remain in the EU, and their leaders have expressed interest in holding independence referendums in the future. Brexit has also strained relations between the UK and the EU, particularly over issues like trade and the Irish border. One of the most immediate consequences of Brexit was the impact on the pound. In the immediate aftermath of the referendum, the pound fell sharply against other currencies, including the euro and the US dollar. This was partly due to uncertainty about the future of the UK economy and its relationship with the EU. Since then, the pound has fluctuated in response to various Brexit-related developments. For example, when the UK and EU announced that they had reached a trade deal in December 2020, the pound rose to its highest level in over 2 years. However, the pound has also fallen in response to concerns about the impact of Brexit on the UK economy and trade. Finally, let's take a look at some other examples of countries that have left the EU or something similar. One recent example is the United Kingdom, of course. But before that, there was Greenland, which left the EU's predecessor, the European Economic Community, in 1985. Another example is Algeria, which withdrew from the African Union in 1965. And in 2016, the Netherlands held a non-binding referendum on whether to leave the EU, although the majority of voters chose to remain. Brexit is an ongoing process, and its full impact may not be known for years to come. Some potential benefits include greater control over trade policy and reduced contributions to the EU budget. However, the potential downsides include reduced trade and access to the single market, as well as potential job losses and economic uncertainty. But what does this all mean for the people of the UK? Well, there are some potential benefits to Brexit that could positively impact everyday citizens. For example, with greater control over trade policy, the UK government may be able to negotiate more favourable trade deals with countries outside of the EU. This could potentially open up new markets for UK businesses and create new job opportunities. Brexit could also mean that the UK is able to better control immigration. While the EU allows for free movement of people between member states, leaving the EU means that the UK can set its own immigration policy. Some people in the UK argue that this will help reduce pressure on public services and give UK citizens priority for jobs. However, there are also potential downsides to Brexit that could negatively impact the people of the UK. For example, leaving the single market could make it more difficult and expensive for UK businesses to trade with the EU. This could potentially lead to job losses, particularly in industries that rely heavily on exports. Brexit could also have implications for the price of goods and services. If the UK leaves the single market without a trade deal, there could be tariffs and other trade barriers that make imported goods more expensive. This could potentially lead to inflation and a rise in the cost of living for UK citizens. Finally, there is the issue of the Irish border. The UK and the EU have yet to agree on a solution that would prevent a hard border between Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, which is an EU member state. This could potentially have serious political and economic implications for both the UK and Ireland. In conclusion, Brexit is a complex issue with many potential upsides and pitfalls. While there are some potential benefits for the people of the UK, there are also significant risks and uncertainties. Ultimately, only time will tell what the full impact of Brexit will be on the UK and the EU. Well, we've made it to the end of this wild ride through the world of Brexit. Thanks for joining us on this epic adventure through the Brexit rabbit hole. We hope you've enjoyed the ride and gained a deeper understanding of this complex issue. Remember, the world is full of mysteries and adventures waiting to be uncovered, so stay curious and keep exploring.